What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Xbox Drive episode 286. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Turford, the man on the moose, and I am joined for the first time in a fortnight by Court Lalone. Court, how are you doing on this wonderful, wonderful Friday afternoon, good sir?
I'm good. Okay, give me the definition of a fortnight, because I was here like a month ago.
I mean, a fortnight is just, a period of time that's far away. Like a long period of time. That's all.
You should make your chair, like, skin it and have a moose on it. So then you're always a man on a moose.
I don't like the fact that you just told me to skin my chair, Court. Like, what?
Well, you put like a skin on it, get a moose skin.
Well, I would like you to know that Yarden in the chat says iced coffee is the GOAT.
Yeah, Yarden is incorrect. I had to return said iced coffee, and then I went and got myself a chocolate chill, because that is the GOAT. Yeah, you can get at the Tim Hortons here, Sean's favorite coffee place. You can get chocolate milk Slurpees, and they're just the greatest thing ever.
My God. So folks at home, if you're not, following the epic saga that is iced coffee, Court mentioned on his Twitter that iced coffee is terrible. And, this is where chaos ensues.
And Fortnite is technically 2 weeks.
Oh, well, there you go. But, Court, before we get into cleaning the garage a little bit, because, it's the Xbox Drive tradition, we got to talk about the weather. Oh my God, Toronto is like so humid right now. It's ridiculous.
T-shirts and shorts, buddy. Yeah. And I cleaned my garage right before we started this episode. How topical.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you're able to. I hear your pool is opening soon. Maybe
my pool is open. I have turned the heater on. I am going swimming all weekend. Is the plan.
Very nice. So you heard it here, folks. Court Lalonde's pool party is happening this weekend. Everyone go over to Court's house. We're gonna go jump in the pool together.
Ryan, I could invite you and you wouldn't even show up.
Probably not, because it would involve going outside, and
there you go.
It's just hot outside. But of course, the Xbox Drive, where we talk about Xbox all the time. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now, right, youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then ding, 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 ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we go live with new videos or with a live stream like this one that you're watching right now. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or subscribe if you haven't subscribed there already as well. And last but not least, if you would like the audio of our shows a little bit early, or just, one big podcast feed with all the Carpool Gaming stuff on it, or some exclusive content, you're going to head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Carpool Gaming, throw a little tip in the old tip jar, and out comes content. Well, without further ado, Court, it is time to grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist, and honestly, we could talk about other games this week, Court, but I don't think we really need to.
Because I don't think we played anything else. I suffered my injury, and I can't play my game of choice. I'm trying, though. I'm sneakily playing about 10 minutes. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm playing about 10 minutes a night, but it just hurts. I'm old. We mentioned it in the pro show. I'm just old.
Yeah.
And but I have been playing the game that... and I played it with you. We played for about 2 hours.
We played together. That's the best part about this. So today, friends, we're not, the whole show is not going to be about Minecraft Legends, but we are talking about Minecraft Legends. We're going to kind of have a little bit of a review discussion here before we get to some of our other topics, especially because Court and I both played the game. We played it together, and I'm interested to know, especially Court's thoughts on the game, since we do have a full review up on this channel that I put out last night. I know, Court, you put up a review over on 3Dads, right?
Yeah. Mine was centered around parenting reviews. When I do my reviews with 3Dads in a console, it's pretty much giving you the can you play it in front of your kids or with your kids review. Because a lot of the games we play over there, like outright games and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure half our audience does not want to play those games.
Exactly. So if you want to hear Court's thoughts about it from a family perspective, definitely head over to 3Dads and show Court some love. And even if you don't want to hear about it, just to go over there and like the video.
Yes, and also we'd like to say, before we talk about the review discussion, thank you to our friends at Xbox Canada for sending us a code. Yes. Hashtag Xbox Review.
There you go.
Just get that in
you
there.
Knew I was just about to get to that too. You beat me to it, but there we go. So we both played it a lot. Game's out next week. So Court, before I get into all the different things, I want to know surface level thoughts from you. What did you think about the game, just in a broad sense, and were you excited about it kind of coming into it?
I was excited about it because of Minecraft Dungeons. So I like RTS games. I was a big component on the PC games that I played growing up would be StarCraft, and World of Warcraft. Those are the games that I played way back in the day. I love StarCraft. It was one of my favorite games, and like SimCities and like Civilizations and all those games. They were just so much fun. They were actually like growing up in the 90s. That was pretty much what you played on PC until the Diablos and everything of the world came out and kind of like blew our minds. Like, I don't think people realize how much Diablo and like games like Doom changed the landscape of video games for a lot of us, because it was just like, we can play games like this. But for the RTS, I fell in love with them. So I was anticipating this, especially after Dungeons, because I thought they did such a great job with that at Mojang. Because a lot of times you see TT does this with the Lego stuff. They make pretty much the same game and they just do a different skin. It's like, this is the Harry Potter game. The thing I'm liking what Mojang is doing with Minecraft is they're giving us almost like a different perspective.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we have the basic Minecraft. You can, it's choose your own adventure all the time, but here's this, here's that. I'm very curious to see what they do next, to be honest. But yeah, I was anticipating the game. Were you?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that we were getting a different time of game from the original trailer, because the original trailer, if you remember, during kind of the Xbox showcase when it was announced last year, when we were together in person, Court. Yes. It almost looked like a Breath of the Wild style kind of third-person action game, because they didn't show the strategic elements. They just showed you on horseback doing stuff. So I thought it was going to be a different style of game than when we actually got it. But when we saw more and more of the strategy stuff, I also got excited about it, because like you, I also played a lot of real-time strategy games. You know, if there's an old episode of We the Gamercast where Sean and I talked about this, how, you know, I was in Pro League for StarCraft for a while. So that goes to show how much I played StarCraft, because I was pretty good at StarCraft. I played it a lot.
Awesome game.
Yeah. So I actually love real-time strategy games a lot. So when I heard that, you know, we were getting more of this real-time strategy Minecraft game, I was more excited about it than I was even originally. But I will say that I was a little bit worried about how they'd handle some of the controls, or if they'd make it too simplistic and things like that. Like, I definitely had concerns going in, but for the most part, I was pretty excited for this as well. And then kind of, you know, giving my overarching thoughts, I think the game is pretty good. Like, I think that there's a lot to like about it. And I do, to your point, Court, I like the fact that Mojang is doing something different with Minecraft. Like, they're trying new ideas in the Minecraft universe, and really trying a bunch of different styles of games with dungeons, but also even going back to something like Minecraft Story Mode from Telltale, which was kind of like this, you know, Telltale style, you know, adventure game. We had stuff like that. Like, I like that they're trying different things with Minecraft and not trying to, because you've got Minecraft just on its own, and it's just kind of its own thing, and you don't need to really tweak that for the most part, other than, you know, performance patches, or if you want to add like some small new things to the game, you can. So I like that they're, you know, taking this IP that people really like and trying to do a bunch of different stuff with it.
Yeah, it's not like you can make a Minecraft 2. And actually, once you said the Breath of the Wild style, I'm just like, yeah, I think we can do that next, like a whole story driven, because one of the aspects I was a big fan of this is the enemies in Minecraft, the game itself. They're your friends in this, as long as you save them, right? You're also able to go around and bring them, make them part of your posse, I was calling it, your little team that you're going around with. But I was a fan of playing the single player, and one of the reasons it was because it was an easy game to play while I was just sitting here doing stuff in my office and not having to think too hard about it. Even though you could think almost like chess. You're thinking a little one step or two ahead, but at the same time, you're building towards something. So I could get lost in it, and I played it for, according to my clock, I played about 18 hours of this game so far, and I was actually in shock how much on the first couple days where I wouldn't stop playing, and I'm like, oh, I want to go back. My daughter would watch me. She tried to jump into Minecraft. She played a bit of the educational edition, and she liked that, but the Minecraft, the game itself, she actually didn't like. But we played dungeons together, so she was very excited about this. I had to teach her a lot, so there's what I would say to anybody who has kids: you need to hold your kid's hand walking them through this game.
Yeah.
It's not that easy, but for us who played these type of games, it was easy to pick up on. I would say this is the lower skill version of an RTS. It's not very hard.
Yeah.
But it is long.
Yes, it certainly is. Which is an important point I should bring up that I forgot to mention earlier. At the time of this recording, neither Court or I have finished the game.
Correct.
We put a lot of time into it, collectively between the two of us, but neither of us have actually finished the campaign, because it is quite long, and I do feel like it does take a long time to do things in this game, or longer than I would have hoped anyways. I almost wish, since the strategy itself is so like loosey goosey or so chill, I almost wish that in that same breath, like I almost wish it was more arcadey and you could get through, some of the castle sieges a little bit faster and things like that.
Yeah, like I changed the difficulty settings purposely to try and speed it up. So I went into story mode, and which was interesting because I usually always play games on easy, but this one, because there was an RTS, I'm like, well, give me a little bit of because for strategy wise, I'm like, give me a tiny bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But then I felt it was like, okay, I'm just sending waves and waves of guys after it over and over again. Yes, I'm still taking down. I'm still like, okay, you guys go up on this bridge that I've created. You guys go across there. I'm going to send the creepers over here and blow up the front door. Then I'm going to send those, I can't remember what they're called, the guys that just keep punishing everything, the little rock guys.
Yeah, the cobblestone dudes.
Yeah, those guys are amazing. They'll just take down any building. But the creepers will, so if you play this game, send your creepers at a door, they'll blow everything up. Then send those guys in, and then send your skeletons and your archers in, and they'll just hit everything from the back and make sure that your little stone guys can take everything down. But once I figured out that pattern, it became very easy to just mow through everything.
Especially because at that point too, you're going to finish this battle and you're going to win. It's just a matter of, all right, how many dudes do I need to throw at this before, this eventually just happens on its own?
Yeah, my wish is that our posse could be more than 20.
Right.
Because I think if I could have more than 20 and I could almost separate them better, because on console you can't, but on PC you're able to just select those guys. So
you can, but there's limits to how that
correct.
works. Because
the same with on console, but it's a lot harder because I did switch over to PC after playing with you just to try it out, and that's the only way I'm going to play it now.
I was just going to say,
not a console game.
I think that mouse and keyboard is the way to play this game. You can play it with the controller, but what's interesting, Court, I don't know if you knew this, on Series X you can actually play with mouse and keyboard. It does have mouse and keyboard support. So you can totally play it that way too.
I mentioned in my review, it has the hookup, but because of my setup in here where I have the Xbox here, but I also have the PC in front of me, I was just like, okay, I'll just throw on PC Game Pass and just play the game. I will say this, everything carried over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fully cross-play. In fact, I think it's cross-save across all the platforms you can play on. So
so PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S, yes, but then PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch are the same.
Okay. So there is a little bit of a differentiating factor there. But Court, we got a question from Bowsah, because I of course asked for questions about Minecraft Legends, and she asked the question, how is Minecraft Legends as a single player game? So oddly enough, even though Court and I played some multiplayer together because we wanted to try some of the multiplayer out, we mostly played the game by ourselves. And I think it is totally fine. I think it's a totally serviceable experience by yourself. Like I actually, especially because when you play co-op, and this kind of happened when Court and I played co-op together, like we really weren't doing stuff together. Like you were on the other side of the map kind of helping me get extra resources while I was going around taking out bases. Like which
kind of worked out. It was very interesting how quickly we were able to destroy everything because you didn't have to worry about gathering. I'm like, all right, you're like, I need diamonds. I'm like, all right, let me figure it out. And I like, okay, and it's not like we can look it up. I'm like, wait a second, Tundra is where. So I went to the Tundra area, got all the diamonds, and I'm just like gathering resources. And then I went and got us the creepers. I was like, all right, I'll go do that, and you just keep taking out the piglins. I think you could finish the game a lot quicker.
Yeah.
If you and I were playing, like if we didn't even do the versus mode, I think you and I could probably finish this game, finish the story in about 8 hours.
Yeah, I think so too. Like we actually probably could have co-opted this entire experience and then probably finished in time for the review. But it actually gave us good perspective about playing the game by yourself because, there is a lot to manage. You do have to go out and get resources now. It's not like a Minecraft or not a Minecraft, sorry. No, it's not like a StarCraft where you build, workers that then go and mine stuff while you do other things. Worker. You are the workers. So you have to actually assign, like I can't remember what they're called in the game, but, a little worker to then take down, the stone or chop down all the trees for you or gather the resources for you. And you only have a certain number of those helpers at a time. And you actually can, give upgrades to eventually have more of those workers later in the story. But you're out there gathering the resources. You're out there building all the buildings. You're building all the troops yourself. You're then commanding all of them. So there's a lot to manage by yourself. So
yeah, I would even say a little tip is at the very beginning when you first start this game, always have them gathering resources as much as humanly possible. Don't have them doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you should be using them as much as possible whenever possible, even if you're, near your max resources. There's always things you can spend your money on in this game. But overall, Court, I think the single player itself is totally fine. You can totally have a good time by yourself. I think it's going to take longer to get things done, as we kind of mentioned, by yourself. But I think it's still a pretty good time by yourself. Would you agree?
100%. If I had to start, I would say I would love to do it co-op. Like I'm debating whether I teach my daughter really much about this game, like have her sit at the PC and me sit here at my Xbox and we just play this game. And I just have her doing the resources part because I think I can smash through it. Mm-hmm. The only mode that I wasn't a big fan of was the 1v1. I just felt it was like at one point, what did I say to you? Just kill me. Like, let's just get this over with.
That's true. We'll get into that in a second. I just want to bring in I Can't See from the chat real quick, who says, from what I heard on another Xbox podcast, you can save villagers eventually.
No other Xbox podcast.
And they can gather for you. So it actually doesn't work in the way that you're kind of saying in the chat here. What ends up happening is you can save other villagers and they will reward you sometimes with a chest in their village that has resources in it, but you have to travel to that village to go get it. And Correct. It's, a periodic kind of thing.
And it's random resources that they get you.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you don't need it's.
That's why
I wouldn't rely on those resources.
Exactly my point is what I'm trying to say. Is it's not like that takes over and then you don't have to resource gather anymore. Like it complements the resource gathering that you're doing yourself.
Especially if when you first start out, you've got to build walls around each village that you save. And that's one of the things that I didn't know at the beginning. And then because the piglins talk at night, that's the first thing you do. Like if you save a village, your first thing you should do is fortify the living daylights out of it.
Yeah.
And that uses up a ton of wood and a ton of stone. So you're always gathering. So yeah, I would think maybe those villagers gathering things maybe is like a bonus eventually because I never counted on it as something that I could use.
Yeah, it's not. Again, it's not like it's the defining factor. It's just like it's a nice bonus every once in a while for saving the villages. So that's why I would treat it that way. But yeah, you are always gathering the resources. But moving on to what a point you mentioned before, we should talk about the multiplayer because that's something we didn't talk too much about in either of our reviews because I wanted to save it for our discussion when we were both here. So during the review period, Court and I played together. We played co-op for a bit and had a chill time playing that, but we did play the one-on-one mode. Now, to be fair, you can play 4 versus 4 or any combination in between that. So I think you could probably do 2-on-2 and have a good time.
And I think we both agreed 4v4 would probably be the best way to play that.
Yeah. Like where each of us kind of builds our own fortress. And the idea is we have to take down each other's fortresses. And
especially because there's 2 piglin camps that'll be close to each where they start you. And as you attack those piglin camps, they get better and more aggressive. And what was happening is Ryan was attacking mine and I was attacking his near his. And we were just so confused. We're like, why are they keeping? And it's because Ryan's attack. And it was just, I don't know. It felt like it was taking forever because at one point we literally said to each other, like, we could do this forever and no one's going to win.
Well, it got to the point in Court, we were like, because I actually recorded the entire thing because there's actually video of it in my review when I talked about it.
Oh, yeah, I saw you when you beat me and you killed me. You put that in the review conveniently.
Did you also notice the fact that I left in the part where you murdered me?
Oh, yes, I saw that too.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I did murder you.
I was fair.
I murdered Ryan, everybody. I killed him.
But I took revenge and destroyed Court's fortress. But it was also like, that was an hour and 20 minutes into our game. Yeah. Like that, and we, like, in theory, if Court put up more of a fight, like, we could have been there for 3 hours.
I literally decided, I was like, I want the achievement. Like, we're just going to let this go.
Yeah. And then there was no achievement for it.
No, it was just an achievement. We got an achievement when we played co-op.
Yeah.
That was where the achievement came from.
Exactly. Like that was our one achievement that we got for playing together. So again, like, I think the versus mode can be fun, but don't play it one-on-one. I'm curious for us to maybe try it out at some point to get like,
hey, we could make it like a carpool gaming event where we could do 4v4.
Yeah. After this game comes out, I'm curious to try that mode again. Cause I think it could be really fun if you have 4v4, but we just didn't have enough people we could link up with during the review period to kind of make that happen. But there's another mode, Court, that I don't know if you got a chance to try. I talked about this in my review, so you might know where I'm going with this already. Did you get a chance to check out Lost Legends and Myths? at
I
all?
did. I got to download the one free one that was from the store.
Yeah.
This is the section, excuse me, that I think is going to be very cool, because I also was reading, because they put it there in text, but there's nothing there. It seems like they're going to allow users to create missions and myths.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very cool. Like, that means this game is almost like endless, because it's procedurally generated. So every map is going to be different. But if people are able to create all these like different scenarios as we used to get from like Civilizations,
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see where they go with it. I think they could have like a bunch of different ideas. It kind of reminds me, going back to our StarCraft example, Cord. Like, it reminds me of the StarCraft arcade, where, you know, users would create different scenarios for StarCraft that you could play.
The story mode itself, I was like, okay, it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
like, it's Lord of the Rings. Like, that's the story.
It kind of is.
Like,
actually.
literally, it's the story of Lord of the Rings without the hobbits. Like, I don't know. I was laughing.
But so the main reason I bring up Lost Legends and Myths is I actually think the mode that's there right now, the free one that we're both able to play, I think that would actually be really fun with 4 players as well. Because the one that's there right now is basically a 20-wave horde mode, where you have like you have your fortress in the middle, and there's 3 piglin camps, and you're kind of fending off waves and waves of different piglins.
I learned if you can funnel them.
Yeah.
So if you have it, so the walls, because they're not the smartest of the piglins, you can actually funnel them into like an area, and you just keep attacking them when they go in the funnel.
Yeah, I learned basically to do that, but also have instead of castle walls, I just had the walls just be towers, and like different styles of towers, like the sentry towers or like the short range and the long range towers, and kind of mix them together, because they would just run into the towers and, you know, try and attack them, but they would just get mowed down that way. And then eventually it got to the point where, you know, by like wave 16, where there were 400 piglins attacking you at a time, I was like, well, all right, I guess I got to start building units now in order to kind of, you know, keep them at bay at this point, especially because when you got like the, you know, the elephant riders and stuff like that, like, you can't take them down with, you know, your main character. So I thought that mode was really fun. And that's another thing I think would be really fun if you had 4 people as well, is to do something like that. So I'm really interested to see how they approach that with monthly content. Because again, Mojang's going to be putting out things monthly, and then it'll be interesting to see kind of what the Minecraft community kind of puts together there.
And I think it's going to be great, because what they do over on the Minecraft itself, when I was reviewing Education Edition, I could see a lot of different user created stuff, and I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. Exactly. I think there's some really interesting ideas that could go with this. So before we kind of round out this conversation, we got a couple other questions that I can get to. We got the Muffin Mon, aka Kevin Ainsworth, who asked the question: if I hate Minecraft, and he did hate with capital letters there, Minecraft with the...
To be fair, Kevin hates a lot of things.
That's true. So if Kevin hates Minecraft with the passion of 1,000 suns, is there any chance he will enjoy this game? So
if he likes RTSs, yes. Because I don't find it, like, I don't play Minecraft, and I enjoyed this game.
That was the point I was about to make, because I know, Court, you had mentioned before, like, you're not a Minecraft person. No. You like Minecraft Dungeons, but but you didn't like that game because it was Minecraft. You liked it because it was a fun game.
Correct.
And I think, you know, similar things can be said about this. Like, I think you don't have to be into Minecraft to like this. I think you'll probably absolutely enjoy it more if you're into Minecraft. Correct. But I don't think you have to be to have a good time with this game. I think it's pretty fun on its own. And I think if you don't like Minecraft, I think you should give it a try. But it also depends on what you hate about Minecraft as well.
Hey, it's day and date on Game Pass. Like, this is my rule about that kind of stuff: is you could try it for an hour, you don't like it, don't play it again.
That's true, but we're gonna have to. I'm leading to something else in a second here.
Okay.
But I will say this: like, it just depends on what you hate about Minecraft. Because if you hate the aesthetic of Minecraft, then obviously, you know, that this isn't going to change your mind about this. But if you know, like RTSs, like Court said, I think you're probably going to enjoy this game a lot. But then, Court, the question I have for you is, because there's a lot of people that are maybe playing on other platforms. Like, I know that we have people who listen to this show who specifically tell us they don't play games on Xbox or don't have an Xbox, but they listen to our takes on games anyways. I want to know from you, do you think this game's worth it even if you don't have a Game Pass subscription? Because this game is like a $60 Canadian game, so I think it's like $50 American dollars.
But I would put the caveat on: if you're a fan of Minecraft or you're a fan of RTSs, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy this game.
Right.
That's my caveat. If you're like, oh, I don't like either, but maybe I'll give it a try, don't. Like as someone that has that, I have to try things that Matt or Ryan suggest sometimes, and I do play them to see. Like, I'm gonna play the new Final Fantasy. You heard it. It's happening. I'm gonna play it. But I have the luxury of like, Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or possibly getting a review code to try these things. But I would say, no. If you gotta only buy one game, you got this or Star Wars.
Yeah. I was gonna say this does, present a bit of a problem where this game is coming out in kind of a tough time frame because you do have, to your point, Court, you've got Jedi Survivor, you've got Redfall coming up, you've got Zelda. Like there's a lot of competition coming out in the next month, and I do think if you are on Switch or on PlayStation, I do think it's a tougher ask if you don't have Game Pass. Like I think, right away, at least day one anyways. I do think the game's really good and you'll enjoy it if you enjoy RTS games, but I do think that, it is kind of it might be just a wait for sale kind of game if you're also picking
and
up.
Dungeons went on sale a ton. So
there's that. Yeah.
Also, you can get it.
Court, I will say, kind of going back to something we were saying earlier, I do also recommend if you are thinking about picking this game up, honestly, if you have a PC that can play it, you should play it there, because I do think, mouse and keyboard is the way to go with this. I can't even imagine trying to play this game on Switch, Court, like, and seeing what that's going to be like, especially because I point this out in my review. There's some loading times in this game, like even on, Series X that there's about 10 seconds of loading when you load the map, as an example.
Well, because it is procedurally generated.
Right, on Series X. But can you imagine a console that doesn't have a solid state drive, how long that would take? Like, I'm curious to see how those load times actually are.
Well, it's just like I'm a fan of Diablo, and I played it on consoles, but man, nothing beats playing Diablo on PC. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just better on PC.
I just don't love on Diablo on PC with all the mouse clicking. That's why I'm excited for Diablo 4 on PC, because it actually has controller support, because I do like playing Diablo with controller more than mouse and keyboard. But definitely for Minecraft Legends, I think you're going to want to play with mouse and keyboard.
Especially after when I tried it, after you played and I went in it and tried it, I'm like, oh my God, I felt more efficient.
It's way
I just felt more efficient playing the game.
Yeah. Like there's B-roll during my review of me trying to build towers and castle walls with the controller. And it's kind of like a clunky kind of build. Like you can tell I'm struggling a little bit versus me running around the map, building towers and stuff like that, like using my mouse to do all that stuff. Like it's just way easier on mouse and keyboard, I think, with this game. So then Steve Vagvari over on the Twitter asks us the question, what do you think piglins taste like, Court? If you had to
Swiss chalet ribs. Got to put in the plug.
Of course. They come with the sauce and everything. Is that how that works?
I am going to Swiss chalet tonight for dinner. Man, it's right beside where I'm picking up my car. He's definitely going.
I haven't had Swiss chalet in a while, Court. I feel like I need to.
I have it like at least twice a month.
Yeah. We just don't, there's not one that's like close to where I live. So it's, a little bit difficult. I think the piglins though, they taste like bacon, like crispy bacon, Court, on a nice summer day. It's kind of what I think they taste like.
Crispy bacon on a nice summer day.
Look, okay. I like to use the words to describe things. Okay.
All right.
But before we close this out, Court, any final thoughts on Minecraft Legends before we kind of move away from this?
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. You know what I mean? And if it's on Game Pass, like, just why not? Just go give it a try.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of fun. And if you're looking for like the perfect, in quotations, podcast game, like a game where you can kind of just relax, turn your brain off. Like, I think this is like the perfect game for that, especially because, again, you're not really like, there's story there, but it's, very paper thin.
Yeah. And you're only getting attacked at night. So, like it starts getting darker. You're like, okay, about to get attacked. And it'll tell you, you can go on your map and it's like, here's where you're being attacked.
Yeah. It's very easy to, just have a good time with this game. So yeah, I think we both recommend y'all should check it out. And again, check out our reviews both on the main channel and on Court's channel if you want to hear more of our thoughts about the game. And I'm sure we'll probably be talking about Minecraft Legends again on the show in the coming weeks as we, dive into it more. Because I want to dive into it again when the game goes live next week. So then maybe we can, do some more of the multiplayer.
I want to try 4-on-4. I want to try it because I think it would be a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Because we got you, me, Sean, Seth, Matt. Like, there's a lot of us that have Game Pass. Yep. I think we could have a good time with it.
I think so too. All right, let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news. And we got 3 kind of quick news stories we got to get to this.
One might not be quick, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. First
one
up,
goes really slow unless it was at 60 frames per second.
Jesus Christ, Court. So first up, Ubisoft Plus Multi Access is now available on Xbox, offering Ubisoft's catalog of games as well as day one releases as part of your subscription to the service. You need to sign up on the Ubisoft website, and it will cost you $22.99 Canadian a month for this.
Or $18.99 US.
Or $18.99 US. Court, as you know, the resident Ubisoft guy here at Carpool Gaming, I think we can give you that crown.
Yeah, I think so. I love Ubisoft games.
There you go. What do you think about this news? Because we heard that Ubisoft Plus was coming to Xbox forever ago. It's finally here, not the way we were kind of expecting. But what do you think about this?
Well, that's the one I don't understand. They said this from day one. The initial news release, everything about it, everybody misconstrued it, and they were all like, "Oh, it's coming to Game Pass." And then Ubisoft had to come out and go, "No, yes." The way Xbox announced it made it sound like that, but no, that is not what's happening. The service is going to be available on Xbox consoles.
Yeah,
that's what they said. So I knew right from the start that it was not going to be on Game Pass. And then I think when it finally did launch, my only thing is I'm like, took way too long from the time they told us this was going to happen. And they told us when you and I were at the showcase, remember I was talking about it there. I was like, oh, I'm going to get this, to the time it comes out. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, why did it take so long?
It was almost a full year.
Yeah. So for me, right now, is there a reason to get it? If you haven't played all the backlog of Ubisoft games, yes. But if you have, like myself, for me right now, I have zero reason to sign up for the service. Yeah. Zero. Because there's no game coming out anytime soon.
Yeah. Like, I think when Assassin's Creed Mirage comes out,
it's worth getting.
I think it's worth getting at that point rather than buying the game, especially because
you're going to get Avatar at the same time.
Well, not only that, but like we also kind of know that from history that Ubisoft games go on sale a lot.
Yep.
And one of the things people know about that is not wanting to buy Ubisoft games day one. So now you don't have to. You sign up for the subscription, you play as long as you want to play, and then you kind of unsubscribe from there if you're
you're also able to use this on PC, so it's a lot like games. So it's console and PC. I do, and it's wherever it's available. Eventually, it's supposed to be coming to PlayStation as well. I look at what's already on Game Pass, and we already have a ton of Ubisoft classics on there, and like some great Assassin's Creed games that are in there.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just like, what? Like they already saturated Game Pass and PlayStation Plus with their games, and now they're trying to ask for money. And I feel like they're just it's a stumble. Yeah. Like they should never have done the classics on either service, and they should have just done this. And I think they would have got more subscribers from it. But this, they're bringing out with no game coming out. Avatar and Mirage are coming out. Ubisoft doesn't bring out games until after September. Like that's just the thing.
Yeah.
And then Heartland, which is a game I'm extremely looking forward to, is free to play. You won't need this service. So I'm just like, I don't know, man.
I mean, and also we're working under the assumption that Mirage and Avatar both come out this year too, because that's
it's a possibility. My fantasy critic says so. They're coming out. Mind you, I had to drop Justice League. Jesus.
It's fine. But I also think but at least you get Just Dance, Court. Just Dance.
As a father, my daughter loves that game.
See, there you go.
The Kanto was in the new one this year. We were jamming to that.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this service, because again, I see a lot of people upset about this online, and I think it's just especially because the price is more than Game Pass for this. But when you weigh in the fact that it's brand new games, that's why it's
100%.
So
also, Ryan, the internet likes getting mad about things that doesn't matter.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second with our next two stories. But yeah. So I think this service is going to be 100% worth it, and bookmark this website when Mirage or Avatar come out later this year.
100%.
You're gonna want to have it for when those.
And when Ubisoft finally goes back onto all cylinders and think about, we used to get like Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, and like the amount we're getting there in the next 3 years, we're supposed to get 4 different Assassin's Creed games. Like, the service will be worth it. It just isn't right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think this would have been, much better received if like we got Prince of Persia like we were supposed to, and Skull and Bones like we were supposed to. Like if those games hadn't got delayed, I think this service would have been a lot better received anyways. But
agreed.
Moving on to poor receptions, Court. Arcane have announced that Redfall will be launching with its quality mode only meaning on Xbox Series X, it'll run at 4K 30 frames per second, with Series S running at 1440p at 30 frames per second. A 60 frames per second performance mode is being added to the game at a later date. So, speaking of things that the internet was upset about, doggy, people were not happy about this.
I think they had a right to be.
Yeah.
I think this is another misstep this gen for Xbox. They do so many things good. So many. The recycle controller, the little things they do with the console. Like, the console is the better of the two. Mm-hmm. When you put apples to apples and the graphics capabilities and the sound capabilities, it's the better of the two. It's the one I use more. It's the one I use more of the two. But for some reason, with their first party releases this gen, it's just like they just keep stepping on themselves over and over. Like, just delay it. Just delay it. Do not put it out, especially with Aaron Greenberg putting out that tweet like months ago or whatever. The first party games are always going to be 60 frames per second. Well, guess what? You had a bungled Halo Infinite release, and it's real. That's a real thing. The amount of the Halo fans that want to think that's not a real thing, it definitely was a bungle. And now you're about to do this to Redfall. You're going to put it out against some of the heaviest hitters of the year, talking about Zelda.
Yeah.
And you, like, what are you doing? Why do these things?
Yeah. Well, especially like with its focus on multiplayer, and I feel like it would be different if it was a different style of game. Like, if it wasn't a first-person shooter, like if it was like a third-person action-adventure game or something like that, like something that, wasn't as fast-paced, then I think you could probably get away with something like this. 100%. I think it'd be totally fine. Like if it was Gotham Knights, for example, because I do think, as much as people complain about it, we saw it in sales where people were totally fine playing that game.
Well, as someone that loves that game was great as long as I wasn't riding a vehicle.
Exactly.
As soon as I rode a vehicle, I'm like, oh my God, this game is terrible.
Yeah, that's why, like, I think if it was a different style of game, I think this would be a different conversation, because I would actually be more prone to defend a move like this if it was a different style of game. But fast-paced first-person shooter like this one, where you're killing vampires and it's multiplayer co-op.
I'm pissed that it's not 120 frames per second. I'm just so confused, and I don't understand the reviews and the previews that everybody got to see. You have people that are very big, like Xbox rah-rahs, that are pissed because the preview event was 60 frames per second 4K on PC.
Well, not just that. Every piece of footage we've seen from this game has been 60 frames per second because it's been all the PC footage, which is why, like, ultimately, if you're going to play this day one, it sounds like PC is going to be the best way to do it. But yeah, to your point, like, I almost wish that they delayed just the console release and then still released it on PC if you want to release it, but then have maybe the console release come later whenever this
it's just when ready. It's a new IP. I just don't. It frustrates me. This is a new IP. You want to give it its best foot forward, and I was excited about this game. I thought it looked cool. I'm a big Far Cry fan, and everything about this game looks like Far Cry with zombies. Yeah. So I was like, with vampires, sorry, and I was like, I'm excited about this game. I love the different areas. It was like, the thing I love about Game Pass is like, okay, you have this game, we can all just play the game.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It frustrates me.
Exactly. So, like, I mean, I feel like if we were just normal consumers, Court, and if I didn't have a brand new PC, honestly, this probably would be like I would wait until the performance patch is over before I jump into it. But because I have like a new PC, like, I'm definitely still, probably still going to play it day one.
I'm still playing it day one on console, and I'm hoping that I don't know. I'm hoping the worst part is if we didn't have this and they just said it was 30 frames per second from the beginning, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
They waited till the last moment to tell us, and that sucks.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And BobLoblaw in the chat brings up a good point. Man, I get why people care, but I'm so over frame rates. As long as it's consistent, that's all I need personally. And I definitely get that. I'm glad it's at least, it sounds like even if they are doing 30 frames per second, it sounds like, it is hopefully going to be constant at 30 frames per second.
I hope.
And I do think, that is a good point. We do get a little bit in the weeds sometimes with stuff like this, but it's just, knowing from past experience, this type of game, that's the main reason why, I think Court and I are a little upset about it. So it's not like, we're just trying
also once you get to play something that's that, and then you try and go back, it's tough. Like I joked to my wife, we got free we were going to Florida a month ago, and we got upgraded for free into first class.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can't afford it, and I know I'm not going to do it again, but man, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was very nice to get. I said to my wife, I'm like, I can't go back. I can't get on a plane again. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because once you get that nice thing, it's tough to go back to the other thing.
Mm-hmm. And it also, and you know, this is the other point I wanted to make with this. It's just the other reason why I wish it was just their day and date is because whenever this performance patch, you know, eventually drops later in the year, it almost reminds me of the problem that we have with DLC sometimes, Court, where, you know, we don't, like, DLC comes out so late into a game's life cycle sometimes that you just don't want to go back to it. And that's my worry about this game, is that, you know, this patch comes out, you know, let's say in 6 months after the game's release. Like, will people really want to go back to Redfall then at that point with the patch that's there? Like, like all of the marketing and the hype for the game is kind of gone at that point, I feel like. And that's kind of, you know, the other reason why I just wish whenever this released is when we were getting this patch. Like, that's just my 2 cents on that. But moving on, Court, we got to talk about this other thing. And again, this was a rumored story for a long time. I know you and Seth had talked about this on, you know, Carpool Weekly a few times anyways, but we have the official news now. WB has officially announced that the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has officially been delayed to February 2nd, 2024. Again, Jeff Grubb had been saying for a while that, you know, he'd been hearing, you know, from people at WB that this game was being delayed until next year, and we now officially have the news. Honestly, I think, you know, this is a good move for the game. Again, it was in, like, kind of like Redfall, what we talked about, in a really tough window. Especially, I actually think it was in a tougher window because it was coming out after Zelda came out, but like the week before Diablo 4 and Street Fighter. Like, yeah, there was no way like this game was, you know, gonna get the time it really deserved anyways. So I'm glad that, like, I actually think that this is actually like a good move for the game, and I hope that, you know, this means that when it comes out, the game has a smooth launch, people have fun with it, and I am excited to maybe play it next February. But what do you think about this news, Court? Because I'm curious.
Well, Jason Schreier put out a pretty good tweet just saying, like, for everybody who thinks they're trying to get away from everything that we saw and we didn't want, they don't have enough time to do that.
No.
So all they can do is the polish factor. They could probably change the enemies and not be all purple hitboxes that everybody was complaining about. My only thing about this is I love the DC world, and I was like, okay, I'm going to play this game regardless. So I'm their audience that's just going to play the game. But I just wish there wasn't, because of who's making it, it's Rocksteady. I just wish there wasn't a whole gear thing.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I saw someone put out a funny tweet. They were like, WB goes to Rocksteady and they say, hey, we want you to make a new game. And they're like, cool, we got this Superman game we want to do. And they're like, so how do you do gear with Superman? And WB and Rocksteady's like, well, we can't do gear with Superman. And they're like, well, figure out a game you can make gear with. And then they show a screenshot of Justice League. And I was like, man. Like,
but imagine the different Superman suits you could get, Court.
As a Rocksteady fan of their games, I love the Batman series. And originally, we all thought we were going to get a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that turned out that really were working on that, and then just fell through, which is just like, what? Like, every time I play Gotham Knights, I'm like, this would have been better as a Ninja Turtles game, but we didn't get our Superman game, and now we get this. So I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah,
I'm hoping. All I'm doing is hoping. Instead of dunking on it before I play it, I'm gonna play it. I'm just gonna play the game. That's why and if I don't like it, like Gotham Knights, it is what it is.
That's why I actually think like this is a positive move. I actually think this is a good move for the game. I think it's gonna lead to, you know, better success, and I'm actually excited for it for next year, even though it's a long ways away. Like, we've got 9 more months before it's coming out. I am excited for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League next year. But last but not least, Court, we got to let some of our friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. We got 3 listener questions this week, so let's run through them. We got Darth Stridius, who asked the question for you, Court. He asks, would Court play more Xbox if they were cheap 1,000 gamer score games?
I think he doesn't know. Court actually plays more on Xbox than he does on PlayStation. I was just going
to say that. Like,
I may hope a PlayStation show, and I love my PlayStation first parties, but I love NHL. I play that on Xbox. I usually play where the game is better, and a lot of times third-party games run better on Xbox, so I play them there.
Yeah. In fact, actually, we have kind of like a fun dichotomy this week, Court, because you're the guest who hosts a PlayStation show who mostly plays on Xbox, And I'm the host of this show who mostly plays on PlayStation, but is the host of the Xbox podcast.
But I have been playing a lot of PlayStation because of MLB's show being the best game until I hurt my arm. Yeah. And Burning Shores is coming out. So I'll be going back. It just all depends. But usually my third-party stuff I play on Xbox. Usually. Yeah. Unless it's got something better on PlayStation or it's got something there.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, I mostly play third-party games on Xbox as well. It's just one of those things where almost every game that I've been super passionate about this year didn't release on Xbox, so I couldn't play it there if I wanted to. Like that.
Like I still say PlayStation has the best by a mile first party games there is. I for me at least, there's nothing better. And I also think that they launched their streaming service better, but that's also because Game Pass was there and showed them the path. But still, Game Pass is a good service, but PlayStation launched better, and it could probably over time overtake it.
Also, there are actually a lot of cheap 1,000 gamer score games on Xbox.
100%. As someone that plays all the outright games, and I play them on both consoles, like, give me a break.
Yeah, or there's a lot of visual novels on Xbox that have been coming as well, where you can actually get through them pretty quickly for 1,000 gamer score. So I don't think that's what's keeping Court away. In fact, I actually think maybe Court plays more of those. Who knows? But
yeah, I've been playing a lot on PlayStation because I just finished Dead Space yesterday.
Nice.
And that was on PlayStation 5.
Well, next up, we got Naga Chaka, who asked the question, what is the best fishing game on Game Pass right now, and why is it Moonglow Bay?
It's Dreamlight Valley all day long. Understandably so. It's definitely, that's a game I play literally every day with my daughter on Xbox because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah. I'm glad at least one of us has an answer to that question because I don't play any fishing games. So
yeah, it's the only fishing game I play, so that's the only answer I had.
Yeah, the closest I have to an answer to that question is playing as a fisher profession in Final Fantasy XIV and just going around the world and fishing.
Mind you, there's a new bass game coming to PlayStation Plus, so it's a fishing game, I guess.
God. And last but not least, I Can't See asked the question, do you think the next iteration or a successor to the Series S will be a handheld? And I know that I Can't See linked a YouTube video where someone was crunching the numbers talking about the idea of, the Series S benchmarks that games need to be able to run at could in theory be, ported into like a handheld shell. I personally don't think that Xbox is going to go down the road of doing a handheld. Yes, no. In theory, you could, make a handheld with the Series S specs and be able to, make that work. But I personally don't feel like that's the direction they're going in.
I think the rumors are true that they're trying to figure out every way possible to get Windows onto the Steam Deck, and that's their entry into handheld and just have their app there. They seem to play very nice in the sandbox with Gabe Newell. He speaks very, very fondly of Xbox whenever he has a chance. So I think that's their avenue into handhelds. And I think the next Series S is the Series X, and they'll sunset the S. They will have the X, and they'll have their XL or their whatever they want to call it. The next Series S is the X. It's a small console anyways. As someone that travels for work, the Xbox Series X is small. It travels very well. It extremely well. It's crazy how well that thing travels. So I think the next S is the X, and I think the next handheld, 100% in a year from now, we will be able to play Xbox games, Game Pass games on the Steam Deck like it's nobody's business. Yeah. It won't be a side load to do it. It'll be native.
Yeah. And I think if Microsoft ever was to go down the road of doing a portable, I actually think it's more likely that they do something like a streaming device, almost like the Logitech streaming.
With that thing that PlayStation's doing that only Nagachaka wants.
There's that too. Like I think that's the direction they go in versus a dedicated portable. But I mean, I would be interested in seeing something like that. I think that'd be cool.
If they didn't do VR, I just don't see them getting into that world. That's just they don't take a lot of chances. They're having a hard time putting games out. Let's not worry about other things they can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Redfall running at 1440p at 30 frames per second is actually pretty good for Series S. That's only one little step below.
Series S is the little console that could. It does some things that are pretty impressive. I had one. It was good.
Put that on the box. Cortland Lawn Carpool Gaming. It does things. It does things. Yeah. Well, anyways, I think that's going to wrap up the show this week. So, Court, thank you so much for hopping on in the car with me this week. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Was I driving, I guess? Because you don't drive, so I was driving the car.
The car just drives itself at this point, okay? That's fine. Fair enough. Court, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Court Lalonde, or you can find me at Carpool Gaming on Twitter, or every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. now, so that I don't cross over with a certain show that I'm on right now, at 3 Dads and a Console on YouTube.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turfer. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, at YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Court Lalonde, I'm Ryan Turfer. This has been episode 286 of the Xbox Drive. Only 14 more episodes till episode 300, and we're out. Bye-bye, everybody.